Most people think life changes when something dramatic happens. A breakthrough, a collapse, a moment so loud you can't ignore it. But the truth is quieter, and that silence is what confuses people the most. Right before your life shifts, something subtle begins to stir. Your thoughts start moving faster, even though nothing around you demands urgency. Your emotions stop fitting into clear boxes. Calm and pressure exist at the same time, resting side by side in your chest. You feel like something is closing, yet you can't explain what it is. You feel something else reaching toward you, yet you don't have language for it either. This strange in-between sensation isn't a mistake. It's not anxiety. It's not instability. It's a signal that only appears when who you are becoming no longer matches who you have been. Most lives are not reshaped in moments of clarity. They are reshaped here, in this private transition that almost no one knows how to name. The space where an old identity loosens its grip and a new one hasn't fully arrived. You might tell yourself you're unfocused, overwhelmed, not quite yourself lately, but something much deeper is happening beneath the surface. Your inner energy is reorganizing quietly, while your nervous system struggles to recalibrate. What once felt familiar no longer fits, and what's forming doesn't yet feel stable. In physics, there is a moment when a system loses its old structure before a new one takes shape. The old patterns stop holding charge. New possibilities begin gathering, even before they are visible. You feel this not because you are failing. You feel it because the past no longer has enough information to predict you. Your mind keeps reaching for old labels. Is this fear? Is this excitement? Is this stress or peace? But none of them work anymore, because you're trying to name something that already outgrew those definitions. You're attempting to explain yourself using a version of you that has expired. This is what it actually feels like to cross a threshold. And the reason it feels so unfamiliar is simple. Life is already responding to a version of you that hasn't fully settled into your body yet. Something within you already made a decision, not consciously, not logically. A deeper intelligence chose a new direction, and your awareness is only now catching up. Notice your recent thoughts. How often have you felt drawn toward change without knowing why? How often have you felt quietly finished with something that once defined you? A habit, a relationship, a role you used to tolerate, but now feels constricting. Not wrong, just too small for who you are becoming. Have you noticed that strange sensation of walking away from a chapter you haven't fully understood yet? That isn't confusion. That is alignment rearranging your internal landscape. When this process begins, the old version of you doesn't step aside gracefully. It resists. It clings to what is predictable. It tries to keep you recognizable, safe, and contained. At the same time, a quieter force pulls you forward, not aggressively, not emotionally, with inevitability. That tension you feel inside isn't emotional chaos. It's identity restructuring. You are running two internal systems at once, and only one can carry you forward. Here is what almost no one realizes. Your future isn't shaped by how much you want it. It's shaped by the internal order you follow during moments like this. There is a sequence unfolding within you, not a ritual, not a method, not something you perform, a natural progression of inner shifts. When that sequence unfolds without resistance, life begins to accelerate. Doors open without force. Old trajectories dissolve on their own. New ones stabilize effortlessly. But when the sequence is interrupted, you loop. You revisit old chapters long after they've lost meaning. Not because you failed to let go, but because the transition was never completed. If you're hearing this now, it's because the process has already started inside you. You didn't initiate it, your future did. Something in the field responded to your frequency long before you consciously noticed the change. Something within you reached a limit, and from that moment, life began rearranging itself around that quiet decision. You might feel like you're moving through fog, but you're not lost. You're passing through a doorway. You might feel like nothing is happening, but your timeline is being rewritten beneath your steps. You might feel like parts of you are falling away, but those parts were never meant to accompany you into what comes next. This moment matters because it doesn't stay open forever. Transitions have a lifespan. Eventually, your energy settles, and whatever direction it stabilizes into becomes your next reality. That's why your inner choices feel heavier right now. That's why your intuition speaks louder than logic. That's why everything feels charged with meaning, even if you can't explain it yet. Your future is leaning toward you, waiting to see which version you will inhabit. The next version of you is already sending a signal, and what you're feeling now is its echo. Your life is going to change. That part is inevitable. The only question is whether you will follow the inner sequence that allows this transition to complete itself. And that sequence begins with the tension you're already experiencing, the quiet war inside, the one we're about to unravel next. That old identity tries to keep you loyal to what once felt familiar, even when it no longer feels true. You may catch yourself reaching back toward habits you already outgrew, revisiting memories that once gave you a sense of self, trying to think your way into clarity that can only arrive when you stop forcing understanding. The former version of you prefers order. It wants structure. It wants everything clearly defined. This feeling means this. That sensation must mean that. Discomfort must be a warning. Uncertainty must mean something is wrong. But what if nothing is wrong at all? What if the only thing struggling is the part of you that relies on explanation, while something deeper has already accepted the change? The self that is forming within you does not argue its existence. It doesn't provide categories or narratives. It communicates differently, through quiet certainty, through sudden inner clarity that arrives without evidence, through an unexplainable pull toward a life your conscious mind hasn't fully mapped yet. This emerging version of you carries opposing sensations at once: stillness paired with urgency, ease alongside discomfort, a sense of relief mixed with the awareness that you are being asked to expand beyond what once contained you. You are not disoriented. You are stretching. When systems transition into a new state, they often destabilize before they reorganize. Everything loosens. Everything reveals what no longer fits. Your former identity is gradually losing resonance with the direction you're moving toward, and your body feels that misalignment before your mind can name it. This phase isn't meant to be dissected. It's meant to be passed through. But the mind resists surrender. It wants to regain control by assigning meaning to sensations it has never encountered before. It tries to create safety by explaining something that can only make sense once it has fully unfolded. This creates an inner paradox: calm threaded with unease, hope sitting beside fatigue, excitement woven into grief. You're experiencing layered emotions because you are no longer operating from a single sense of self. You are standing between identities. That's why you may feel like you're carrying a weight you can't easily share. You've always processed life inwardly, quietly, privately. You learned how to heal without witnesses, how to rebuild yourself from the inside out. And that capacity became a strength that carried you through loss, disruption, and transformation. But here's the shift. You are not withdrawing now because you are wounded. You are withdrawing because something inside you is being rearranged. The quiet isn't emptiness, it's construction. Your inner world is asking for stillness, so this transition doesn't collapse under outside noise. So you don't interrupt the process by seeking reassurance from people who cannot yet meet you where you are. You are not meant to explain this phase. Most people around you lack the language to understand the depth of what is reorganizing within you. Even well-meaning responses could interfere with the subtle recalibration taking place. This is why old connections may feel looser, why certain environments suddenly feel heavy, why roles you once inhabited now feel misaligned. The energetic ties to your past are thinning because they cannot carry into the reality you are stepping toward. Some versions of you were built to endure. Some were built to adapt. Some were built to survive chaos. None of them were designed for what comes next. The future you are approaching requires a different internal framework. And that is why the inner tension feels so pronounced. Your nervous system is releasing an identity your mind is still trying to understand. There is grief here, not because you are losing something valuable, but because you are shedding a version of yourself you lived inside for a long time. Even freedom can feel heavy when it requires letting go of who once kept you safe. That earlier version of you served a purpose. It protected you. It gave you stability when life felt unpredictable. Releasing it can feel like parting with a familiar companion. But the self that is emerging isn't asking you to reject your past. It's asking you to grow beyond it. Life does not respond to who you used to be. It responds to who you are choosing to become. You don't need to decode every emotion. You don't need to analyze every thought. You don't need to fix anything within yourself. This phase isn't asking for effort. It's asking for permission. You are not broken. You are in motion. If you've been feeling the tension of opposites inside yourself, if your emotions arrive in layers you can't neatly explain, if you sense yourself loosening from an old version of you without fully inhabiting the new one yet, let this truth settle into you. Nothing about this is a malfunction. This moment is a crossing, not something you perform, not something you prove, but something you internally agree to. Release is not a ritual. It's a decision to stop bargaining with a chapter that no longer holds you. The instant you stop trying to revive who you used to be, a deeper process activates, not outside of you, within you. What unfolds next is not random. It is not emotional chaos. It is the first movement in a sequence that quietly precedes every major transformation. Almost everyone experiences it. Very few recognize it. Your energy is attempting to follow a specific internal order, and that order determines whether your life expands forward or loops backward. This is where most people misunderstand manifestation, not because they lack desire, but because they approach the process in reverse. Manifestation is not a method. It is not a list of steps. It is an alignment sequence. Every reinvention, every deep shift, every moment where life reorganizes itself follows the same inner architecture. Once you understand that architecture, you stop chasing outcomes. You begin meeting them. Life does not respond to force. It responds to sequence. The first movement is release, not releasing habits, not releasing routines, releasing the identity that was built to survive. Before anything new can stabilize, the old emotional framework must loosen. The lens through which you interpreted your world, the internal structure that decided what you expected, tolerated, and believed you deserved. Release does not mean erasing the past. It means no longer allowing it to define what you are available for. When a system shifts states, the old frequency destabilizes first. That destabilization often feels like fatigue, emotional sensitivity, a sense of disorientation or inner heaviness. This is not failure. This is shedding. Where people get stuck is here. They try to understand the old identity before letting it go. They search for explanations, for closure, for intellectual clarity that the past cannot provide. Release does not happen in the mind. It happens in energy. It occurs the moment you stop negotiating with a version of yourself that no longer fits. Life cannot reorganize around an identity you refuse to outgrow. The second movement is permission. You must allow yourself to experience a life that does not resemble the one you survived. This is where many people unknowingly block their own expansion. They step forward externally while bracing internally. They expect friction. They wait for loss. They assume ease must be temporary. Even when life softens, they stay armored. A future cannot attach to you if you are still preparing for threats that no longer exist. Your body learned patterns from what it endured. It learned to anticipate danger, so it stays alert even when the environment has changed. Permission interrupts that loop. Permission is allowing safety without scanning for consequences, allowing joy without anticipating payment, allowing peace without waiting for it to be taken away. It is recognizing that your next chapter is not an extension of the old one. It is a new foundation. Freedom is not something you earn after struggle. It is the ground from which everything else grows. The moment you stop expecting blessings to come with pain, your momentum changes. The third movement is presence. You must return to the only place where reality responds immediately. Life does not respond to what you want. It responds to the state you inhabit. And the most powerful state you can occupy is presence. When you are present, your energy is undivided. Your signal becomes clear. The weight of memory loosens. The pull of the future becomes accessible. Presence is where timelines meet you, not in regret, not in anticipation, but here. Think of it as the quiet center inside movement, the part of you untouched by history or prediction. the place where you are no longer rehearsing who you were or who you think you must become. This is where the next version of your life recognizes you. When you are fully present, your energy stops scattering. It no longer spills into imagined futures, unresolved memories, or rehearsed outcomes that never arrive. Your signal tightens, your inner guidance sharpens. Your choices stop competing with each other. Presence is not passive, it is not empty, it is strength without tension. It is the moment your nervous system releases vigilance and enters receptivity. The moment your body stops preparing for impact and starts allowing support. This is why silence changes things, why breath slows time, why stillness doesn't numb you but awakens you. These are not practices meant to improve you. They are gateways that return you to a state where your future self is already functioning. The more often you inhabit presence, the more familiar that identity becomes. And familiarity is what allows the field to respond. Time behaves differently for those who can remain here long enough. Not because they rush, but because coherence replaces resistance. The fourth movement is alignment. This is where everything converges. Alignment is not action taken prematurely. It is not imitation. It is not performing a version of yourself you don't yet embody. Most people try to begin here. They change behaviors while carrying the emotional imprint of an outdated identity. They move forward physically while remaining anchored internally. Alignment cannot be acted out. It must be lived. It occurs when your nervous system, emotions, intuition, choices, and energy all synchronize around the same sense of self. When nothing inside you is arguing with the direction you're moving. This is when life responds without delay, not dramatically, effortlessly. Opportunities surface without strain, connections align without calculation. The next step appears precisely when it is needed. From the outside, it resembles manifestation. From the inside, it feels inevitable. Your future does not arrive through force. It arrives through coherence. This is the architecture of transformation. And if you have felt the intensity of this passage, if you have sensed an identity dissolving, if your emotions have blurred into sensations you can't neatly define, then you are not behind. You are already inside the sequence. Nothing has gone wrong. Nothing is late. The only thing remaining is choosing which version of yourself will carry you forward. The one that clings, or the one that allows. You are closer to your new life than your thoughts can measure, not because of what you accomplished, but because of what you released quietly, without ceremony, when no one was watching. People believe transformation is about calling things toward you, but the deeper truth is simpler and more precise. Life arrives when the identity that once blocked it dissolves. This is why the final phase feels paradoxical, heavy and peaceful at the same time. Not because you are failing, but because you are standing at the boundary between two internal worlds. One version of you is fading, another is assembling. And for a moment, you exist where neither has fully stabilized. This in-between space is not confusion, it is selection. You may feel grief for aspects of yourself you assumed would last forever. You may sense yourself loosening from attachments that once defined you. Places, patterns, emotional structures that used to feel like home. Even when the change is right, separation carries weight. That ache is not weakness, it is the sound of a self releasing its role with dignity. Every version of you served a purpose. Every version protected you when protection was necessary. But the reality you are entering no longer requires those defenses. Your next timeline does not need the one who endured. It needs the one who can finally inhabit life fully. When a system shifts into a higher state, the old structure collapses. Not because it was flawed, but because it cannot exist at the new frequency. Your former identity is not disappearing because you failed. It is dissolving because you expanded beyond its capacity. The field has already registered this shift. That quiet pull you've been sensing toward the unknown is not fear. It is not excitement. It is recognition. Your future is not waiting somewhere ahead of you. It is assembling around you now. Each moment you release what no longer fits, the path beneath you recalibrates. You are not following a road laid out in advance. You are generating it in real time. For the first time, your life is not catching up to who you are. It is moving with you. You are no longer moving through a life designed by what you survived. You are walking a timeline shaped by what you choose to embody now. Every insight you allow, every belief you soften, every moment you stop resisting what is already unfolding, you are not becoming someone else. You are allowing the version of you that was always meant to lead to finally step forward. There is something important few people talk about. Once you stabilize into a new timeline, the old one is no longer accessible. Not because of loss, not because of consequence, but because resonance has changed. Your energy no longer matches who you used to be. This is why memories feel distant instead of magnetic, why familiar places feel neutral instead of comforting, why old emotional triggers no longer pull you under the way they once did. You are not drifting away from your life. You have already crossed an internal threshold. The self that lived in survival mode has begun to recede. The self built from endurance and constant adaptation has completed its purpose. The identity shaped by fear, expectation, and emotional armor is quietly dissolving. And what remains is something lighter than you expected. You are beginning to meet yourself without the weight you carried for so long. Not empty, not unfinished, just unburdened. You were never meant to rebuild the past. You were meant to create the future that has been circling your field for years. And that future is not fragile. It does not require you to brace or shrink. It does not demand constant proof of worthiness. It is expansive, grounded, aligned with who you are beneath your coping mechanisms. You have been preparing for this chapter far longer than you realize. Every moment of breakdown, every internal reckoning, every intuitive nudge that didn't make sense at the time, every door that closed without explanation, all of it led you here, to this moment where the distance between you and your future self has narrowed. Now the choice becomes simple, even if it feels heavy. Will you anchor the frequency you are stepping into? Or will you be pulled back by the gravity of who you no longer are? This next phase of your life will not be built through force. It will not be sustained by pressure or perfection. It will be shaped through embodiment, through the quiet, consistent choice to live from the identity that already matches what is calling you forward. If something in this message resonated, don't scroll past it too quickly. Pause. Notice what shifted inside you. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to analyze it. If you feel called, ground this moment by naming it. In the comments, write what you are ready to release, or write the version of yourself you are choosing now. And if you know someone standing in this same in-between space, share this with them. Not to teach, not to convince, but to remind them they are not alone in the crossing. Timelines don't change through noise. They change through awareness, and you are already moving. Stillness with alignment accelerates. This journey is not about consuming more content. It is about frequency, about alignment. You have touched silence. You have met the space between. You have observed without interference, collapsed reality through surrender. Now step forward, not into frantic action, but into conscious alignment. Remember, stillness is not absence. It is the frequency of a reality preparing to be born. It is the womb of possibility, and you are ready to inhabit it.